A major Supreme Court ruling on the Second Amendment, but are the states listening? Hi, everybody. I'm John McLaughlin, your chairman of the Iowa Firearms Coalition, and today a very special guest, Tom King, the executive director of the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, the driving force behind this Bruen case that's been so much in the news. And first of all, I want to welcome you, our sister organization from New York, and give us a little background. Many years this case has been working its way through the courts.
Well, approximately 5.5 years ago now, Mr. Koch and Mr. Nash came to me and said that they had been trying to get their concealed carry permits, but there was a judge in Rensselaer County who wasn't allowing them to have it. And after discussing the situation with them and realizing that they were perfectly capable, lawful, legal American citizens, I thought, well, maybe this is time to challenge this law. And so I took the information from them, called the NRA, and started about a week-long discussion with them as they were doing their due diligence, and I continued to do mine. And we decided that it was a good case, and it's something that we should try to push forward. So that started it. We went to the Western District of the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, and we got turned down there. We went to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals in Bonk in New York City. They took the case, but they sat on it for about 3.5 years. And finally, they made a decision, and it was perfect timing because it was 6-3 for us in the Supreme Court, and the court accepted it. And we hired Paul Clement, who was a Solicitor General from the Bush administration, to argue the case for us before the Supreme Court. I think he's done somewhere around 80 cases in front of the Supreme Court. Very well known, very well respected by the judges. The argument was made 30 minutes by us, 30 minutes by the state. They took everything into account, made a decision, and released it 4 or 5 months later. And a landmark decision. And I'm happy and proud to be a part of that. And I think that it's going to change a lot of things in the United States. So, not so much New York yet, but we're working on that.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like, the law has been laid down for the rest of these states that are still flirting with the may issue versus shall issue. And then, of course, instantly New York says, we're going to circumvent this. Here's all these new rules and social media background checks. So does this mean you guys have to head back to court again, or where does this leave New York? I noticed Massachusetts last night, same kind of deal over there.
It leaves us going back to court. Okay. Possibly getting a restraining order to keep the laws from being implemented because they're in direct violation of the Supreme Court order. And, we're in the process of putting that together and looking for a judge who would be amicable to hearing the argument, which is difficult to do sometimes in New York. So that's where we stand right now. I think the laws that were proposed by Kathy Hochul and passed by the legislature are just totally ridiculous, draconian. And pick the adjective. Anything you want to call it, you could call it. And what really amazes me is that the governor and all the legislators, as part of their oath of office, swear to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States. Okay, and here the highest court in the land has said, well, this rule is unconstitutional. So to be in step with the Constitution, you have to do this, and yet they're fighting it. Okay, and I'm toying with the idea of writing a public letter asking for their resignation because they violated their oath of office. I mean, it's not going to do anything, but it'll make some people upset.
Yeah. So if we get outside of New York City, what has the reaction been among your constituents there in the state of New York, folks that like to go to the range and exercise their Second Amendment rights? What have you heard from them?
Actually, even our constituents in New York City, there's I think about 25,000 pistol permit holders in New York City. Okay, and the overall response has just been fantastic. I mean, thankful. It's about time, and then all of the happiness and good cheer changed to, oh my God, what happened?
Right.
Here they are. We're worse off than we were before. And the fact is that they're not, okay? And they're looking at what immediately comes to light when you read the laws, okay? And they're not reading the decision of the Supreme Court, which changes the level of scrutiny, among other things. And this is going to, these laws are not going to stand. I can't imagine Clarence Thomas looking at this and saying, didn't I just order this? And here they are, and so I'm sure that it's going to get overturned, but it's just a matter of finding time and finding the money to do it. These cases are expensive. Right. Bruen cost almost $2 million.
So let's talk about the NRA for a minute. Our Iowa Firearms Coalition, we're the Iowa affiliate for NRA. And I think this, despite the recent issues the NRA has had, it shows the value of having a big group like that behind you to push cases like that forward.
The NRA couldn't have been more helpful. They put the majority of money in. We are their affiliate in New York as well, and they knew that this was a game-changing opportunity, and they bet on it. They won, and they're going to continue to support it. And we will make sure that the Supreme Court issue stands.
You ever see the day in New York when we move to constitutional carry like Iowa and so many other states are doing?
I'll never see it, but I think that it will happen. It's a trend that's moving that way. We're going to go to shell issue concealed carry, and I think that from there, with some changes in the political structure, I think we're going to be able to go to, reciprocity with other states, and it's going to be a step-by-step process, but it will happen. So
your organization, what we have in Iowa with our Iowa Firearms Coalition and other states, I know, what is it, Goal in Massachusetts, there's a Hawaii Firearms Coalition that's gotten going recently. How important is it that the Second Amendment loving folks in these various states get involved with that local organization?
Well, it's very important because we're the boots on the ground for the NRA, just like you guys are in Iowa. And the fact is, the NRA is a big organization, okay, and they have a lot of members throughout the United States, but they couldn't possibly have enough people to put representatives in every state capital and offices all over. That's what the state associations are for, and that's what we've been doing. We were formed in 1871. We're actually the oldest Second Amendment group in the United States.
Wow. So what does this specifically mean to states, in your opinion, especially those that right now have been kind of on that may issue, shall issue tightrope? The citizens asking for shell issue and the local government's trying to hold power.
Well, I think that it totally turns it around, and if you look back at Heller and McDonald, were challenged by some of the states, and then there's a lesser known case, Wren versus the District of Columbia, And that was a victory for the NRA and the people who brought it. And that kind of incorporated, and that made the District of Columbia capitulate, okay? And they went along with it. You can get a concealed carry permit there. I think that's what it's going to take in other states. I just don't, including New York, I just don't think they're going to give up that easily because they think they run the country.
Yeah, they're essentially giving the middle finger to the Constitution of the United States.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And the fact is that I don't think Lady Liberty likes that, and I know there's a lot of my members that don't like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So in Iowa, we're working on what's called the Freedom Amendment. Believe it or not, you would think the Midwest would have recognized the Second Amendment a long time ago. So that's on the ballot finally after years of work by IFC. Where does New York stand on something like that? Is the Second Amendment actually protected in the New York Constitution?
No, there is no Second Amendment in the New York Constitution, but there's a section of the Constitution where in the laws of New York where it talks about civil rights and the protection of civil rights, and it's enumerated in that section. But okay. It's not a guaranteed right in the Constitution like it is in the United States.
Okay, very good. Tell me a little bit about yourself. What caused you to get involved in your local NRA association? How long have you been involved? And just kind of make that pitch again for folks that maybe, I just put out a statement the other day, you know, the time for being a silent patriot is over. We got to get the boots on the ground. We got to be vocal, or we're going to continue to see what's happening in New York, where they just do whatever they want, regardless of the Constitution.
That's right. And I would urge all Iowa gun owners to get involved. I had been kind of tangentially involved with the legislature through a business that I was involved in, and you know, kind of worked doing a little bit of lobbying and things like that. And so I knew a lot of the guys, and a friend of mine was president of the Rifle and Pistol Association, and he said, I need a legislative director. Mm-hmm. And he said, would you be interested? And I said, no. and he sat down and he talked to me for a while. And I said, okay, I'll do it. But you're going to find somebody else, right? And he said, yeah, we will. Okay. So I did it and this was 22 years ago. Okay. And I did it for 2 years. And then he came to me and he said, you know, he said, I think he was 68 years old. And he said, I'm getting too old for this. And he says, I'm going to retire, and I'm recommending that they elect you president. And I said, huh, you know, and are you interested? And by that time I had been bitten, you know, and I've always been a hunter and a shooter. And so I said, yeah, sure. Okay. And so I was elected president. I served there for about 15 or 16 years. And then we started getting bigger and more things to do, and they needed a full-time employee. So they fired me as president, but hired me as the executive director.
Oh, there you
go. That's why I'm here.
So fair warning, when you get involved in these local state organizations, you might spend a couple decades there. So just so you know, right?
That's right. You know, and it's really interesting because it's been, you know, it's been just an amazing trip for all these 20 years. I mean, there have been frustrating times. I mean, living in New York, you know, there's got to be some frustrating times, but it's been, to coin a phrase from the 60s, it's been a trip. Okay. I've learned so much. I've interacted with so many people. I've met so many people that I never would have had an opportunity to meet, and hopefully did a bunch of good along the way. And I'm not the one to judge that. History is going to judge that. So I won't make a comment on that, but I urge everybody to get involved because it really is something that needs to be done. If you're not going to do it, nobody's going to do it.
Absolutely. And at least in my lifetime, this is certainly the biggest Second Amendment Supreme Court ruling I'm familiar with. And I think it'll go down in history as something that your organization will always be remembered for.
That's true. And, you know, the other thing that we'll always be remembered for is that we formed the NRA. When most people don't know that, we were formed 9 months before them. And then the two generals and the colonel from the Union Army that formed us decided to take it nationally. And that's how the NRA was formed.
Wow. So we got a Supreme Court lesson and a history lesson about the start of the NRA today. So
that's right. That's right.
2 in 1. Tom, I know you're very busy. I sure appreciate your time today. Congratulations from all of us at the Iowa Firearms Coalition, and on behalf of patriots across the country. We just can't say enough about what you and your organization have done for the country.
Hey, thank you very much. You know, it was a pleasure to be here, and I'm sorry for the glitch in the middle. Give Mike my best, and take care, and call anytime. And if I can do anything for you here, let me know, and I'll be sure to call you if I can need anything in Iowa.
All right. Very good. Thank you, sir. Have a good afternoon.
You too. Take care.